All right, so as we move through, if you guys want to just keep putting that in the chat, we'll go ahead and get into the overview of our office. So you probably saw an email come out towards the end of the summer, right around Professional Development Day, but we have rebranded. What was the Student Development Office is now the Student Life and Development Office, and we also moved from being under Student Support Services to being under Career and Workforce Development, just as you've looked at the restructuring both on the academic side and the student services side. That's where we now live. And so our mission here is just to support students in all of their non-academic endeavors. We don't provide any academic services to students outside of referrals, but we do everything outside of the classroom. So that might be extracurricular involvement, making sure that they can access different resources on campus and other student support programs, as well as the clubs and organizations, which is why all of you are here today. Our role here at El Camino is to, one, oversee the Student Activity Center and the Communications Office, and then advise our students in general and work with our advisors for clubs and organizations as well. The best way we can support you is through our communication. So I'm going to cover in a few slides the way I hope to be better at communicating with all of you about changes in our processes, about updates throughout the year. I know a lot of your students start to get stressed around March because we all know the fiscal deadlines for the institution, but they might not know those. So I'm hoping to launch a series of newsletters, not to flood your inbox, but maybe once a month to give you guys an update kind of what's going on, so that you don't have to be so worried when your student says, well, I heard this at the ICC meeting, or this person told me this. You should hopefully all be in the loop as well, which I hope will make us all more successful. Contacts here for our office. So I didn't introduce myself at the start, which maybe I probably should have, but my name's Tyler. I'm one of the student activities advisors here in our office, and I will be the primary contact for all advisor related questions this year. You probably have seen Ricky, our director. So he's the director of student life and development here for our office. And then there's a couple other key staff. So you've previously worked with Austin. Austin's responsibilities have been more aligned to directly serve the students in ASO and ICC and CAUSE, our internal organizations. And so the other two people that you may work with is Reina Diaz, who's our student services technician. She handles all room reservations, some of the event logistics, not planning the event, but ensuring once your students have planned an event alongside you, hopefully, that all of the logistical aspects, such as facilities, work orders, room reservations, catering, things like that, that they have those contacts to knock those down. And then Tony is all things fiscal and budget. So when your club has their own money, which we're going to talk about in a few slides, if you have any questions about that, if you need help with orders, if you've maybe put in a request for reimbursement, Tony will be the point of contact for that. And after this, when I send the slides out, I'll give you all their direct emails, or they'll be CC'd on the email. So that way you kind of understand how best to get in contact with them. Outside of overseeing all of the clubs and organizations, we host our own events. So we hosted Student Support Expo about a week and a half ago. We have our own leadership development program known as Odyssey. And then we oversee the Interclub Council, the Associated Students Organization, and offer different workshops throughout the year as well. Now I want to move into kind of your role. So this is very brief, and then we'll go into detail a little bit further on into the presentation. So your main role as an advisor is supervising the student organization. You are the risk management component of the institution, so that we don't have students all meeting on their own without anyone else looped in. What's important for you is that you're creating a supportive environment for your students. So I talk about guiding students to make their correct decisions and really make the organization their own. It shouldn't really be your organization, which also should save you some time. And management of the organization should fall on the students, with you supporting them. To encourage them to step up and take leadership and ownership of an organization, oftentimes your students will come to you with an idea and absolutely zero ways to execute it. You should encourage them to find those solutions and actually bring these ideas to life, but it's by no means your responsibility to run everything point to point and end to end. You should help them with their decision-making processes. So if your club has $7,000 in their club account and they plan one event and they want to use all $7,000 of that on Domino's Pizza, maybe that would be your time to step in and say, I don't know if that's the best use of your entire club budget to host one event with pizza, right? Help them get to the decisions that might be a little bit more difficult for them when they're first coming up with all of their ideas. And then finally, the real issue that we have is our institutional policies right now don't allow for a meeting or an event to occur without an institutional representative there. So your club meetings should
Yeah.
have you present and your events should have you present. Remember also that
Something else?
sorry if you could stay muted. I got it. Um, what's really important is that you are there to serve alongside those events and the meetings. And if you can't do that, to reach out to our office immediately, and either we can attempt to find someone else, or you can attempt to find someone else that for maybe that event that they want to host that doesn't work with your schedule, you find another faculty member or a staff member that can work alongside your students to make sure they're still able to offer their event, but they have some sort of institutional representative present. Remember that the El Camino Code of Conduct requires a faculty member to be the primary advisor, but staff members can be secondary, tertiary, other advisors as well, and they can attend those meetings. So it's really important for you to start figuring out a partnership, or your students to figure out a partnership that says, every Tuesday at 1 p.m., I actually teach a class, but I know this staff member that is willing to say, I'll go to your meetings so that you can still host them in this college hour time and be successful. So really just making sure that you are present at meetings and events. If your club is meeting without you and you catch wind of that, please let us know so we can talk from the student side. Hey, that's not really okay. I totally understand it. But on an official college stance, you can't be meeting without an advisor present. Now, the caveat to that is a lot of clubs will host informal hangouts after hours, right? Maybe go to Dockweiler, go and hang out. As long as they're not publicizing that as a club event, they can do that and you don't have to be present. If it's an official club event, like
Publicizing it as a club event.
hiking club, wanting to go on a hike and advertise it so other students can join them, if you're the advisor of hiking club, you should be present at that event, because it's the institutional liability that comes into play once we're advertising it as something that other students can attend openly. And then finally, from the compliance and risk management side, we also have some college policies, Title IX, Code of Conduct, that we need to cover that you play a role in. And then we're going to talk about our event approval process and the Engage platform as well that students can be using when they are planning their events. So again, I kind of mentioned this on the last slide, but just wanted to make it abundantly clear that the expectations for this role is that you are present and accountable for the actions that your students choose from the institutional policy. I would also say that I am a big fan of you balancing your students' demands with the reality of you not being able to be present every weeknight so that they can all hang out after hours, right? You probably have a family or other things to do outside of the classes you teach. So understand that I need you present at things, but that doesn't mean you can't be assertive and say, you know what? I understand you guys want to meet every single day of the week. Not possible for me, right? So I just wanted to put that in there. You can balance your students' demands with the reality of, if I have to be present at everything, we can't have something every day of the week, all when I teach class. So what does that really look like? Again, you are at every meeting, you are at every event, and you should try and meet with the club president monthly. I can't make that a requirement, but I really want to make sure that you are at least talking to one of your student leaders at least once a month. Ask them how things are going. This could be right before or after one of the meetings, or they could stop by during your office hours. Again, not trying to add more to your plates, but I really think there's a disconnect between you as an advisor if you're not meeting with one of your student leaders individually. And then we also sent out the updated organization handbook. Please review that or ask me. I'd much rather have you ask me too many questions, and maybe I'm putting my own foot in my mouth right now, and it'll be overwhelming, but I'd much rather have you ask me too many questions about an event that your students are trying to plan or money that you're trying to spend, then finding out about an event after the fact that didn't follow any of our handbook or policies and having to talk to you that way. So it's going to be much easier for me if you're just super open with me and asking me a ton of questions. Okay, now to the not so fun part about compliance. I have this ton of text that my beloved director Ricky told me to cover related to hazing because there was a new law passed in the last year, or went into effect January 1st, 2025, that we need to cover related to hazing. So please note that El Camino College is committed to providing an academic environment free of hazing. This procedure defines hazing and sets forth a procedure for the reporting, investigation, and resolution of complaints of hazing. This procedure protects all current, former, and prospective students. So the official policy that has just been voted on is AP 3436. I think it still needs final board approval because we have until December 1st to roll it out, but it does need to happen and be followed. So I really just wanted to go over the definition of hazing just so you know what it might be in case you see signs of it in the clubs and orgs that you advise, but also this does apply to the classroom. So if you see anything while you're teaching as well, it's important to know. So hazing is any intentional, knowing, or reckless act committed by or against another person, regardless of the willingness of such person to participate. It can be connected with initiation, affiliation, continued membership in a student organization, and it creates a risk of or causes physical or psychological injury beyond the reasonable risks of normal participation in the district or organization. So that's kind of hazing in a nutshell and the technical federal definition. And then there's examples that are given: whipping, beating, striking, electric shocking, sleep deprivation, exposure to extreme elements or excessive physical exertion, forced consumption of alcohol, drugs, or any other harmful substance, obviously sexual acts, activities that induce fear of bodily harm or violate local, state, tribal, or federal laws. We haven't really seen a ton of this, but at the two previous institutions I've worked at, our club sports, our athletic teams, and our student organizations, especially long-standing student organizations, not even Greek affiliated, did have requirements to participate in the org that technically met the federal definition of hazing. So there's any type of requirement that is not optional that a club or club leader is trying to say, hey, you want to join our club, now you have to do this. That's the blurred line that could become hazing. So I'd like you to just report that to us right away. In order to report it, if it's something immediately dangerous, please call 911 or campus police. If not, you can use the incident referral form that a lot of you use to report other things to our office that are happening in the classroom or outside of it. Cool. That's hazing. I am going to touch on Ruben's question that is not related to hazing, but the previous slide, but I just wanted to cover that this is our technical hazing thing. And then I'll go ahead and address the question in the chat, which is club leaders meeting weekly without you being at each of those meetings, if they're used for planning and scheduling the agenda for club meetings and special events. So this really touches on the informal action. So if the club is meeting, like maybe the president, the vice president, and the treasurer are meeting to like set up what they want to do for the official meeting, and then you will be at the official meeting, that's okay. But if they are meeting to get an event ready and talk about purchasing things and sign off maybe on a club expense, you should probably be present for that. So I'm going to let you use your discretion on what you attend and where, but if it's anything being advertised as an official meeting, like they printed out a flyer for it and they're advertising it across campus or on their online social media, you really should be there, or someone from the institution. That's kind of the delineation I'll use for right now. If there's individual questions that you have related to that, feel free to talk to me offline or shoot me an email. But that's kind of the threshold that I would say, if that helps answer your question.
Got it. That covers it. Yes, thank you.
Cool, no worries. I am going to share a different screen now because there's a separate aspect that I need to cover related to compliance. And so we'll jump into that screen and then we will cover that as well. Many of you have also had to do this as a faculty member, but this is coming from the Office of the Title IX, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Nina Wong. So I just wanted to, I'm trying to get this out of presenter mode. There we go. So the Clery Act aspect will be covered here, and that is going to relate to everything that you all might need to know as a campus security and administrator. So this is housed through the campus police department, which is open 24 hours, 365 days a year. How to best reach the police department is to call their two numbers, obviously 911 or their non-emergency number. You can use any of the blue lights. There's some phones in past buildings that you can also use as well. The Clery Act was made into a federal law in 1990 as a consumer protection law, named after an incident that occurred with Miss Cleary. And the goal is to just ensure that the campus community has access to all of the information related to what has occurred on the campus in the previous year. Odd timing because the campus security report literally went out today. So you can consult last year's data if you'd like in your inbox. Because you're a faculty club advisor and you have significant responsibility for student activities, you are considered a CSA. A CSA is a campus security authority. If you didn't know that already, we're going to cover what that means for you. If you're a campus security authority and you advise a club, this is what you must do. You need to report all crimes to the campus police department that are made known to you. So again, your students are talking about, wow, we had that unofficial club hangout after school that one day and we all got really, really intoxicated and someone went to the hospital. You need to report that to campus police or our office, and I can help you report it to campus police. But someone needs to report something that related, even if it was considered unofficial, because your role as an advisor is supervising those students and you became aware of it in that official role. Your responsibilities is to just report the incident. You don't need to solve the incident. You don't need to decide if it's an incident or not. When I've been made aware of these things, I always go tell Nina, or at my previous institutions, the Clery Act coordinator, and then I let them decide if it's actually Clery Act reportable or not. You don't have to worry about that. Just go and report it. And worst case, they say, you know what? It's not Clery Act reported. Maybe still touch base with the students, but everything's good here. You need to report what happened, the location, if you know it, and the date and time that it occurred. Don't investigate. Don't go and try and make a citizen's arrest. And they don't need to involve just students and or staff, but it's based on what has happened in the physical campus boundaries, which we'll cover in a second. So that whole off-campus thing, if it's miles and miles away, it's okay. It doesn't need to be reported. But if it happened at Alondra Park, which is still a part of the ECC police detailed area, and they were all hanging out as club members or in the parking lot, you know, after class one day, you need to report it. So these are the locations on campus and non-campus property that the district owns or controls, and then public property immediately adjacent. So this map here, everything that is in blue or red counts for reporting things. So the Business Development Center is over here, the El Camino Fire Academy and the street in front of it, right? Those are all aspects. And then kind of Manhattan Beach Boulevard, Crenshaw, Redondo, and the extension of Crenshaw that leads into the parking lots is all reportable area, right? So that all needs to be covered, and you need to report any of the following crimes, right? All the way up to murder, down to hazing, weapons violations, drug, liquor law, stalking, domestic violence, hate crimes, etc. Again, you have signed on to this as being an advisor, whether you knew it or not. If you're now reading this and saying, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this anymore, please let me know immediately so we can update things, but just something that you need to be aware of. Why it's important: it enhances our crime awareness, increases personal and campus safety, and helps individuals receive support and services and resources. It's a federal law. You have to do it. We get fined as an institution, which, knowing our fiscal standing, probably not great for us to do. And then also you can get in trouble if you're a CSA and you don't report things. This is just the contact information if any of you would need it. So Janie is our Title IX coordinator. They can help you with filing a report and supportive measures. They can also help you make accommodations for students, and this is their contact information as well. I believe this is the last slide that Nina needed me to cover. Yes, it is. So there's the chief's contact information, Nina's contact information, and the non-emergency line. These slides will also be sent along with the advisor training, and we'll move back into our regularly scheduled programming that corresponds with the original advisor training. All right. So we are back in our regularly scheduled programming, and we are good to go. So after the compliance portion, I just want to talk about event approvals and Engage. So Engage is our online club management system. You don't necessarily need to be responsible for it. All of your students receive training on it. But if you hear from them, oh, I posted it online and it's not related to social media, it's probably on Engage. And the Engage space is going to look like the following. Give me a minute to make sure that it's actually logged in. So Engage is access through your El Camino single sign-on. You will be added to your club's page as an advisor and a point of contact, but not the primary contact. So people shouldn't be bothering you, but you are listed in case someone can't find the students. Since they're all over campus, they might reach out to you from that. Give me a second just to go ahead and share this. So this is ECC Engage. And this is what it looks like when you log in. You'll have your picture or your initials in the upper corner. And then from there, you will be able to access all of the different clubs and organizations. So the main thing I wanted to just show you all is if your students are asking how to find things, just direct them to the left side of the screen. On the left side of the screen is the navigation panel. They should go to forms. Forms are going to be where all of the forms that they might need to fill out are needed. If they want to go ahead and request money, it's in the ICC budget request form for this year. If they want to go ahead and fill out their monthly club report, which ICC is hoping to launch, they can do that right here. If you need to register an advisor as an advisor because you haven't yet, you can fill out that form here. If someone wants to create a club or reactivate a club, there you go. Let's say you're having a giant event and you'd like some of the canopies that we have in our office, you can fill that out here, right? So those are all different forms that should apply to them. They should be starred, so they should be featured on our page, and that's what they would need to fill out. Once they have their club landing page, they can add events. So like Barcata has already advertised their dance workshop that's happening later this week, and then it's publicized to all of the current students. And then they can also go and explore their organizations that they belong to. I'll use ASO as an example. They can completely customize this page. You can help them do that or just encourage them to do that. They can upload photos, give brief information, and then list themselves on their roster so people know how to go ahead and get a hold of them. That's El Camino Engage and some of the forms that we require. I don't want to get too in the weeds with it, but if you need an individual training, feel free to go ahead and let me know offline. All right, back into our presentation here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Is there a way on Engage, as we start the calculus club, we are wondering if there's a way to have, I don't think there is a way, but I'm just wondering, is there a way to just have the Engage information go to students that are in math classes? Or is that not possible through this?
So the way that internal messaging on Engage works is you basically have to add them as interested members or prospective members via roster. Now you can do that on an Excel list. So what we could do is if you were able through your dean to get me a list of every student involved in every single math class and send that to me, I can upload that list directly into your club roster. And then students would have the ability to still opt out, right? They're like, nah, I'm not learning about calculus club. I'm out, right? They can
Okay.
opt out of that. But we could do that from the back end. It would probably just work better if you helped me with that, because I don't have access to all the students enrolled in math classes, so we probably just need to work together. And then you can create those messages to go on those events. Engage is populated and tied to Colleague, and so it has all of their single sign-ons and the ability. But if I hit send all, it's going to go to like the 27,000 people that have an El Camino login,
Right.
and then I'll quickly become the bane of everyone's existence. So if we do
Okay.
some targeted marketing, you can just follow up with me directly as you guys get ready to launch. And then they'll build their following from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries. Next on the list is I did just want to cover some fiscal aspects for all of you. So the fund that clubs have is through Fund 81. And so Fund 81, we're trying to break that down by each individual club and give you an update of what your funding status is. There's a way to populate that into Engage, and we've asked them to reset it from last year so that we can upload this year's numbers. We're still waiting on their wonderful IT support to go ahead and clear that for us. Once that's done, clubs will have access, but we have an internal form that we pull from the fiscal office here that we can let you know your individual club's finances and standings. If your club needs more money, that would be done through Interclub Council, and they can request that funding form on Engage. You also can fundraise as a club on your own. If you're fundraising, there are only a few ways that you can do it. It's more detailed in the club handbook, but basically you can set up a fundraiser where an outside company or restaurant, right? If you plan some, I know like AGS has great fundraisers through some restaurants, and some other clubs have that restaurant then cuts a check back to the district for whatever you fundraised, and then we deposit that into your account. If you're collecting money and payment for like selling something, it needs to be cash or check only. And we have to give you a cash box here at our office, and we kind of have to document who pays things through their student ID and some other contact information. So I just want to let you know that is a little bit more arduous of a process, but we can do that. Big thing right now, if you haven't been with us or you're a new advisor, there's basically anti-credit card payments everywhere. So we don't take any of that for club fundraising. We don't really do Zelle or Venmo or things. If you have a really, really large event, there is an institutional Zelle. But again, that takes some time to get going. So please reach out to me or Tony if that's something you're interested in. If your club already has their own money, you're going to make a request through FormStack. It's the 25-26 Student Leadership and Development and Club and Organization FormStack funding requests. If your club needs money, you apply through ICC. But for both processes, the main thing I wanted to cover is the timeline takes weeks. If you've ever ordered things through your division, it's probably the same way. The example I've been giving clubs a lot is El Camino Amazon is not the same as Amazon Prime. I call it El Camino Prime because it's a really long process. The fiscal office here uses Amazon for Business, which does not follow Prime delivery standards. So a lot of clubs ordered things and then they saw from their Amazon account at home when they built their cart that it would be delivered by, the next day. And then it's not coming into our warehouse for another week or two. So I really want you guys to know that and tell your students that. Everything takes a long time here, which for this current generation, sometimes it's difficult for them to understand that. So just trying to reconcile that with all of them. The other thing I wanted to say about reimbursements, I know some of you are very fond of reimbursements. Please note those are still considered a last resort option in an emergency only. The institution as a whole, not our office, please don't blame us, but El Camino is really cracking down on some of the reimbursements that happen and looking at them as if they could have been planned ahead of time, but you just chose to pay for it yourself and do a reimbursement. They're a little bit more strict on getting back to you on those reimbursements. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for your club. So please use reimbursements sparingly and check with us first so that we can hopefully avoid that. The other thing about reimbursements is pretty much never should a reimbursement go to a student. So unfortunately for you, if you're their advisor and we have to get down to reimbursement options, you should be making that purchase, not a student. And that's, again, a request from our fiscal office. We were also just made aware of this week. The institution is rolling out some additional steps for all fiscal purchases, including those for clubs and organizations. sometime in October that will involve all purchases being made needing to be reviewed at the vice president or president level before they can be purchased. You can imagine how I feel about that. I'm sure I know how all of you feel about that, but that is one of the new policies being rolled out. And as soon as I know the exact timeline for that, I will let you all know. But that is kind of the way that's working. The only thing you need to do as an advisor is when they go to fill out that form stack, your club needs to attach minutes that say they voted to spend that money. A student can't just come to our office and say, hey, we want to buy, $50 worth of dominoes, and yeah, we're good. We're part of Philosophy Club, right? They need to attach minutes from the club meeting that they voted as a club, and the minutes need to reflect that you were in attendance or have you digitally sign that you approve the purchase as well. That's it. So if they're trying to make purchases and they don't have your signature, it's going to get bounced back from us. We're trying to be a little bit more particular about that this year, because clubs in the past have purchased things without an advisor's knowledge, and then the advisor's like, we never even discussed this. So we're trying to loop you guys in by forcing things back to them if they don't get your permission first. The other thing I'd say, besides the Amazon Prime example I gave above, the biggest pitfall clubs have is they're planning an event and they want it to happen on Wednesday, and they're coming to us for money and buying things on the Monday. Not really going to happen, not going to be a successful event, or you're going to have to front all of the costs yourself as the advisor, which you probably don't want to do. The best practice is to get things in at least 3 weeks in advance for purchases, and they should be planning their events, hopefully, right? We're trying to indoctrinate this with some of the club members that we're working on, is they're submitting an event proposal a month in advance. That's an internal form that we use to help book rooms, get facilities and maintenance requests ready, secure all funding. So hopefully, I know it's still early in the semester and a lot of clubs are just starting, but hopefully by second semester, they're really on that month in advance timeline. It'll make things easier for you, easier for me, easier for us to purchase everything. And then the last thing I want to share, so I can give you some of your time back, is that, as I mentioned at the start, I'm trying to be a little bit more available than maybe our office has been in the past. And so I want to start advisor open office hours, which is just me as the advisor to all of the advisors. You can stop by anytime Monday between 1 and 2 every single week. We're in Comms 103, which is the basement, or you can just call me. That's my extension. If I don't answer, especially during this hour, that would be bad because I'm not really available. But just leave me a voicemail and I'll call you back. But I want to be a little bit more available if you have a pop-in question or you want to walk through Engage. Feel free to do that. We sent out the handbook already. It will be another attachment that comes to you all after this meeting, just so you can consult that. It's long, so like when you assign your students long reading, I don't expect it to get done all in one night, or I expect you to skim it, but bounce to the sections that you think are going to be important for your club. If you never go on a field trip, skip the 6 pages on travel arrangements, right? But if you do go on field trips, that's probably the thing you want to consult first, because there's a lot of requirements related to field trips and things. I also want to run out some additional communication channels. I want to send out those monthly emails that I talked about, and then we're going to hopefully launch an SLD, like department-wide newsletter in the spring. So I'll make sure you guys are all added to that. And if you set up some inbox rules that just auto-filtered into the trash, that's okay too. I'll never know. But if you need more information, I'm hoping that you will be able to consult those communication channels as well. The other thing that Ricky wanted to make sure I covered is a lot of you reach out with, my 2 club leaders are fighting, or there's some drama inside my club, right? Almost trending on that edge of student conduct. If that's the case, feel free to consult Ricky. If it doesn't need to be a formal report because nothing's escalated, but you just think it needs to be a conversation, I'm happy to help with that as well. But if there is conflict resolution that's needed and it's beyond the scope of you being able to deal with it, feel free to loop in our office. We also specialize in that, as we have our own student leaders that we are constantly helping mediate things as well. And then finally, in November, I want to do a little bit of lunch and learn. I can't provide lunch, but if we all want to eat lunch together, or we can do it virtually, I want to talk about recruitment and motivating your club leaders to actually get things done. I know in the past, a lot of you have expressed this is my 10th year trying to get chess clubs started and roll it out, and we just don't have enough, right? Or this is my 5th year trying to restart X, Y, and Z organization, and it really depends on the students. So if you're looking for some tips and tricks, I'm hoping to roll that out. But yeah, I think that was my last slide. I'm not sure. It is. I saw a question in the chat about when this will be available. I'm going to upload it to our YouTube channel and save the Zoom recording, as well as track attendance. And then hopefully it'll be up by the time I send that follow-up email to all of you with like our advisor handbook and other things related to that. So once all of that is done, it should be available for you, and then you're ready to go. If none of you have other questions, feel free to log off and have the rest of your day back. And then if you have questions, feel free to stay on. I'll leave the Zoom room open and we can just go from there. David, did you have a question? Oh, you're still muted. There we go. Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
I got you.
Okay, so I'm just curious. I'm not going to be doing this forever.
Yeah.
I'm the faculty advisor for the badminton club. How would
Okay.
you suggest we go about trying to find the badminton club's very, very popular. We had 50 people show up our last session. I would like to find someone to replace me in the near future. How would you suggest the club go about trying to find a faculty member who might be interested?
Yeah, I'm trying to actually build a database of people that might be interested, because we have students come down all the time saying, I have this idea for XYZ club, but I don't know any faculty members, or they seem too busy, or the faculty member I did ask that said yes, they already advised 3 other clubs, right? Because some of the volunteers are few and far in between. So I'm hoping to roll out like an interest form to all of the faculty and try and work on that. Secretly also, I've been trying to convince our institutional policies that a lot of other community college districts allow a staff member to be the full-time advisor, and it's still the same risk management because they're a full-time employee, because there are a lot of staff members that have offered to be advisors, and because of our rule, it has to be a faculty member. So that's all to say, I don't have an immediate recruitment idea for you, but if you stick with me, I'm hoping we can roll out some of these forms, as the year progresses, and maybe have time to transition at the end of this year. If you're sticking around for this year or so, I think we'll be good. But if we could open that up to staff being able to serve in that capacity, there's a lot of staff on campus and they're looking to get involved and they like that aspect with students. So I think that would help a lot as well. So not a perfect answer, but I am working on it and aware of it.
I understand. One more quick question for you.
Yeah.
So we have to use the main gym to meet because that's how we play badminton. And that changes every semester based upon availability of the gym facilities, right?
Right.
Is that completely up to the Dean of Health Sciences when we get our opportunity? Do we have any sway or say in that, or I just hope they give us time?
Coming from someone that's just asked to be able to access the gym to play basketball in my free time and gotten told no a lot of times, I think that is out of hands. The best thing I can say is to, work with your students to have them go and make that ask, because a lot of times when there's some student power behind things, I've seen a lot of things get done. When there's not as much student power, it seems like Tyler just wants to go play basketball, right? Then it's easier to say, Tyler, don't you have a full-time job to do? Well, yeah, but I need a break, So that's my advice there. But I do know that those are set kind of by the registrar and your dean as far as when classes are offered.
Right.
So yeah, it's not as clear cut, unless you're like a key holder to the gym, and then in which case maybe you can get around some of those
Well,
rules.
no, they have to assign me time. It has to be
Yeah.
approved. Okay, that answered my question. For you, you should start a basketball club. If you want to go on the gym and play basketball,
Yeah.
the club.
Yeah, and all my infinite free time. Yeah, no, I know. It's on my list of things to do at El Camino before I'm too old. So yes.
You would have lots of interest.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions of those hanging out, or we're just looking for extra answers?
Just a suggestion for David. I don't know if maybe your problem is a place for you to meet. Is that the
Oh,
problem at times?
No, we need the facility. We need the gym
to
facilities.
actually play and
Right.
all. Oh, yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. Matthew.
Tyler, thank you so much for this very useful training. I apologize in advance if you already mentioned this, but you referenced the handbook, and I'm wondering where I can actually get my hands on the handbook.
Yeah, it's digital because sometimes we have to make changes. So it is on our website. I will actually drop it in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. So the direct link is here for everyone that's still on chat, and then I'll be sending this in the email. But that's a PDF. You can save it, like I said, or it's 50 pages, so probably don't want to print it. We were going to print some copies, but everything changes so quickly around here, it would probably be out of date. But this will be the landing page for the handbook moving forward. So we have things from your role all the way to how students can get clubs started, finance things, social media, publicity, all of that. So if your students don't have this yet either, please send this to them. Just as like, hey guys, I attended this training and you should all already know, but here you go. And it's on our website, and then it's also available on Engage. So when a student logs in there to their club page, it's linked on that left-hand toolbar as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
No worries. Any other questions? No? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and end this recording, and then thank you all again for attending, and I'll be in touch with some next steps and,
Thank you.
and the resources I shared. Yep. Bye, everyone.